G'day and welcome aboard my channel. Yes, regular viewers know that if it's nautical, probably it's going to be Airfix, and it is. Look at this. I've just recently been to the big hobby show here in Brisbane. QMHE, yes, Queensland Model Hobby Expo. Becca needed me to go along and help him carry on his 24 or so entries, because he likes to enter every single competition and come home with more bloody medals than the Australian Olympic team. That's another story. Anyhow, I wasn't going to buy anything, really. I just thought, I'll go along and help you out, Becca. I'll have a look, I'll see everybody, say hello to the old club members who used to hang around with in Brisbane, that sort of stuff. Not going to go near the guys that sell the second-hand kits. And of course, Becca comes out while I'm having a cuppa out and playing crosswords in the tea room. Harry, you got to come in. Look at this. This is white box Airfix. Of course, I cannot resist a white box Airfix. Although this one isn't strictly British. Yes, this is the L'American version. 1963 kit. So it's still a white box and it's still from the 60s. Is it going to be as nice as the other white box kits from that era that I really gush about, you know? Well, we're going to have to open the box to find out, so we better roll the music. As I said, this is an American kit, and we know that because it says right here on the side of the box, see? Made and litho in USA. So it probably just the box. I hazard a guess that the plastic is all still coming from Blighty, so the litho probably just means this thing, a lithograph, the painting of that, So there you go. They call it a Series 2-129 constant scale. I mean, Airfix never said things like that. It's a very American thing to say, constant scale, a bit of a sort of a Revel of America type things. So yeah, it's very different. The Airfix logo is not the one that we're used to from Blighty. It is that L'American one from the 60s. So let's have a look inside. I really haven't had much of a look. It does have the lovely old yellowed out instructions. I mean, this just brings tears to my eyes to see a very yellowed and parchment looking like Airfix sort of instruction thing. I mean, it makes me want to sort of get all excited and pay homage. Airfix, Airfix. Yes, I know I carry on a bit. I do love these old kits. It's because I grew up with them. They were the first kits I ever built, and they were the kits that I really enjoyed, and they were the kits that got me in the hobby. So, like a lot of people go, oh, it's rubbish. Well, they can't have been, because I loved them as a kid, and I bought more and more and more and built everything I could lay my hands on, sniffing glue for the first time. Probably all the glue sniffing. There it is, the one-page diagram of instructions. And, before you get horrified, doesn't matter, because you've still got all the things over here. Although it's a bit different. It's not the same as the British versions. I mean, using the British versions, you've got maybe one or two diagrams, and then you've got everything written underneath, although sometimes they did do it this way. And the paint guide's a bit awful. I mean, even back then, I remember we got a little diagram, black and white diagram, that showed you all the colours, but they're basically just going grey, black, red, grey, bits and pieces, whatever. Anyhow, that's not too difficult to follow. I mean, I would not have any trouble working out what to do, because with Airfix kits, as always, you start with part number 1. It should be here somewhere. Yeah, part number 1, the whole half. And you go to part 2 and so on, so on, so on. And your instructions, we're the same. Start here, part number 1, and you would go all the way down here to part numbers 100 and 101. So there are 101 different kinds of parts in the kit at least. Sometimes there might be a couple that have the same number if they're identical. Now, someone has lost the original bag, but they have kindly zip-locked the sprues and all the suicide parts, which is most of them by the looks of things. The sprues look pretty empty, but that's kind of normal. It's kind of how it is. Yeah. Oh, look, it's all right. But apart from that, the kit seems to be in really good nick. And the plastic, well, it looks like that original plastic. So I'm getting pretty excited about this. I think we've got a kit that I would really, really enjoy. We'll have all the plastic laid out, and a lot of parts are not on the sprue, but surprisingly things like most of the boats seem to have decided just to stay. Now, It's not the best. I mean, this is only 1963 and the moulds would have still been very young because this kit was only really tooled very early 60s. But there are massive sinkholes all the way through. It's really bad. And yeah, I mean, there are holes in some of these because they have bits that go into them. But these are sinkholes. They're everywhere. There's sinkholes on just about everything. I'm quite surprised, especially if you look at all the little guns. Because things like these little guns have got a little bumpy out bit at the bottom, right, which is what pokes into the deck, the top of them has sunk considerably, which is sort of sometimes what causes a sinkhole because you've got all the plastic being extruded down into here, injected down into there, and therefore it creates a bit of negative pressure on the top. Well, that is massive, man. They're all like that. All the little guns are like that. And they're even a bit flashy too, which this is quite unusual for this age kit. If it was an 80s kit or a 90s kit with a different plastic, I would, yeah, okay, they're getting a bit horrible, the moulds are worn out. But this is early days in the moulds. What's going on? And if we have a look at the sprues, they've all got fine flash around most of the parts. It's a very rough moulding, so I don't know. Did the Americans do the moulding? And if so, they didn't do as good a job as the British did. Or did the British just fob off some really cheap moulds, the Americans? Here you go, sell these. Yanks won't know. They won't know the bloody difference. They're building Monogram, Revel. They're used to bloody parts of absolute crap. I know not all those kits were, but there was a general very poor standard of those early kits in the Americas before the likes of Tamiya and such came in, and then everyone had to lift their standards because they realised, gee, kits could be nice and clean. So, I mean, Airfix has a really bad name in the United States, basically because of kits like this that are not the same standard as what I grew up with. The parts were clean. They were nice. The plastic's not too bad. At least it's not that horrible soft modern plastic. It's a nice hard one. But a strange thing is there are no part numbers inside the parts. Like normally with an Airfix kit, if you lose a part and it falls off, it's not a problem. There's a part number inside there. But these don't have. I can't find a single one. There's not a single part that seems to have its number on the underside. No, not at all. So, again, I haven't got too much of a problem there. The larger pieces seem to be okay. The decks are as you would expect from a kit of this period. It's a bit scratched up, but I mean, all the plank lines are there. They're nice and fine. Everything's fairly crisp. There's only really sprue joins here that have been roughly snapped off that you'd need to tidy up. You do have some injector points here, but they're usually not a problem. They're all hidden away. So, there is flash on the hull. This is unusual. I haven't really seen it this bad unless the kit was very old and the moulds were worn out. I don't remember the hood being this bad. I mean, I would have built it around the mid-60s, but my kit was from Blighty. Maybe I was young and I didn't know, but I don't remember it being this bad. This is a lot worse than what I was expecting. So it's a bit disappointing as a white box. Those parts look surprisingly good. They're actually nice and clean and clear. Yeah, there's no flash there. And they're all nice and sharp. So that's one plus. But then we go to sort of other sprues and they're well, that one's not too bad. Okay, well, there's a few sprues that actually aren't too bad. But there is a degree of flash, and there certainly is very roughness in the moulding. And these ones, although they are a bit cleaner and tidier, there's quite a lot of injector marks. There's recessed ones and there's flashed out ones, and yeah. I do remember that. I remember having to clean out the little circles when I was younger. But they're usually not a problem. They're in places where they're not seen, although here with the little, these are a bit little radar detector things, or they distant finders, don't know. But yeah, they all would need cleaning. And there's a seam line along the top. Yeah, okay, they kind of had those. Maybe I'm thinking of the kits with rose tinted glasses and they were perfect, wonderful. But look, I have reviewed a lot of old kits on this channel, a lot of Airfix kits, and usually they're in pretty good nick. If they're early moulds that haven't been ruined and it's the right plastic, they come out really nice. This one's been, I didn't expect it to be this bad. This would be more like something that's, 80s, 90s. And I go, oh yeah, well, those kits is a little bit rough and you'd expect to have to clean everything up. So that is a problem. That is certainly a problem. So it's hard to tell. The parts that have kind of suicided off, they're a little bit damaged in places. Look, What we need to do is a bit of a dry fit and see how this looks when it goes together. Here's another thing that I'm finding a bit strange, and I don't remember it being like this. There is no numbering on the sprues, and Airfix never gives you a sprue map. So how would you build this kit? It's all very well, the parts are all in number order in the instructions, but you've really got no numbers for the parts. So how do you know which part is which? And there's no numbers inside the parts, like normally you would get numbers inside the turrets that tell you what is what. I'm a bit perplexed. Is this how the very early Airfix kits were, and I've simply forgotten? Does anybody know? But I don't remember it like this, and I haven't seen it like this in the other kits I reviewed. This is very strange. Well, that was a very interesting experience. I don't remember things being as badly fitting as that. I am so surprised how badly this kit goes together when it should have been an early mould. 1963, the mould should not have been routed yet. I can't understand why there are no numbers on any of the parts. I can't understand why there aren't numbers on the sprues. Was it like that back then and I've forgotten? I don't know. Every classic kit that I've looked at, and as far back as I can remember, everything had numbers. Otherwise, how do you know what parts are? This is very strange. I'm falling down a rabbit hole here that I have never experienced before with Airfix. What is it? I've had a month where Airfix just keeps disappointing me. Well, this is American Airfix. Is it that much different? Did they actually have the moulds, and did they actually do the injection? It certainly looks like they made the instructions. It all looks so alien to me. If you gave me this kit and said, who do you think made it? I'd go, oh, this has to be an old Revel kit or something. Surely it doesn't fit very well, and it's all bloody hopeless. No. Is this what Airfix was like when I grew up? I don't know. I'm flabbergasted. That's all I can say. And nothing much fits very well here. Admittedly, I haven't cleaned much flash off. There's huge gaps over here. This doesn't align to that. Oh, look. The amount of putty that you're going to need to make this actually work. Is that how it is? If you're building an actual British moulded Airfix kit of this hood, let me know your experience. Is it this bad? And have I just forgotten how things were in the 60s? This is this is not what I expected today at all. So, yes, and in the words of Top Gear, on that terrible disappointment, back to the studio. Well, there you go. This video wasn't what I was expecting, and probably not you. I'm usually gushing on about Airfix and saying how great the kits were from back in the 60s. Well, this one is the first time I really have been let down. So I don't know. As I say, if you have built this kit and you've built an early version, let me know what the British plastic was like, because I remember it being a good kit. I remember out of all the ships that I built, I loved the hood. Was it just that I loved it because it was big and long and I didn't realise that it was such a dreadful fit? I don't think so. I remember things being a lot better than this. And the other kits that I've reviewed, they're quite good. And they're from the same period. But they weren't the American brand. Well, except for maybe that clipper, that little clipper that I got. But still. Well, I think I need to go for a big grandpa nap now. So buttons, 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 buttons. You can show your displeasure in this video by hitting the buttons. And as we all know, the hood sunk. Yes, so maybe that's just all well and good, so we've got no way to reference it and know how bad it was. Goodness me. Goodness gracious. And of course, if you really want to help me out and get my brain actually working, you can buy me a curry. That'll be good. I probably need it. Airfix has let me down. First the Bristol Bulldog, a brand new kit. Oh, and now my beloved hood. I love this kit. I don't like this one. I don't even think I'd be bothered to build this because it's awful. I use so much tape to hold it in place. The hull and a 1963 mould. Tell them they're dreaming. All right, that's all I can say. It's a very disappointing end on this video. But anyhow, goodbye from Australia And there's Huru from Harry Houdini. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. It's very disappointing. No, I won't put it in the bin. You want to chew on it? Maybe later.